Hello guys, my name is Mordecai and today I'm going to do a historical figure presentation, and the name that I chose for this presentation was Frances Perkins. So Frances Perkins was originally born as Fanny Coralie Perkins in Boston in the year 1880. Her parents were Susan Bean and Frederick Perkins. Her family was very strict, conservative, and Republican, and Fanny and her sister Ethel were restricted largely to people in their household and church. Fanny's first encounter with poverty was when she joined school, and her parents' reasons for people being poor was that poverty was a result of alcohol or laziness, and her father told her that little girls should not concern themselves with things such as poverty. Although unusual for girls to attend college, Fanny, after high school graduation, enrolled in Mount Holyoke College, where she majored in physics with a minor in chemistry and biology. She was popular in school and was a class president for her senior year. After graduation from college, her parents expected her to stay home and take a teaching position or work in the church and finally get married. Fanny was introduced to factory working conditions in her senior year when her professor required students to visit the mills along the Connecticut River to observe the conditions there. She was surprised by the lack of effective laws regulating the number of working hours, the number of hours people worked, and lack of adequate provisions for the workers' health or lack of compensation in case of injury. This became an inspiration to her, and she set out to try and help change those conditions. After graduation, Perkins moved to Chicago, where she spent her time working at Chicago Commons and Hull House, where she worked with the poor and unemployed. In 1907, she was offered a position as a secretary of the Philadelphia Research and Protective Association, an organization whose goal was to discourage new immigrant girls from South from getting into prostitution. She went on to study sociology and economics at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School. In 1910, she became the executive secretary of the New York Consumers League, where she focused mainly on the need for sanitary regulations and fire protection and limited hours for women and children in bakeries and factories. In 1911, she was among the eyewitnesses of the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. After this fire, a Citizens Committee on Safety was established, and Theodore Roosevelt suggested that Frances Perkins be hired as the group's executive secretary. In 1918, Perkins was appointed to an administrative position in the New York State Government Industrial Commission. In 1928, she was asked to become the New York State Industrial Commissioner, where she had to oversee the entire labor department. Here, she worked with representatives of the labor industry to explore programs that would increase employment. In 1934, she was appointed to head a committee on economic security, where she worked to come up with the Social Security Act, old age pension, unemployment compensation, and workers' compensation for the needy and disabled. In 1938, she was also involved in the establishment of the minimum wage and maximum work hours, and also in the eradication of child labor. 1939, President Truman appointed Perkins to the United States Civil Service Commission, where she worked until 1953 before starting a teaching career, writing and doing public lectures. She then served as a lecturer at Cornell University School of Industrial Relations until her death on May 1965, aged 85, due to a stroke. Thank you for listening, and that's the end of my historical figure presentation.